Today we're making this creamy black beans and cauliflower bowl that uses mostly store-cupboard ingredients. It's high in protein and fiber, plus it's really easy to cook, so perfect if you're new to eating plant-based. Or if you just want a simple weeknight dinner that delivers on flavor and nutrients. Before we get started, I want to say Happy New Year. And if you're new here, my name is George. I've been cooking since I was 12, and I post a new cooking video every week with the written recipes included, so be sure to subscribe so you're kept up to date, and let's get cooking. We're going to get a pan onto a medium heat. Always heat up the pan before adding in your olive oil. I'm going to go in with 2 tablespoons. As always, make sure your chopping board is secure before you start prepping. I'm using this silicone mat, but you could use a damp tea towel or some kitchen roll. This just makes chopping much easier when your chopping board isn't sliding around everywhere. To finely cut this onion, I've cut it in half and we're going to turn the core away from us. We'll then cut down through the onion, making sure not to go through the root. The closer you make these cuts, the finer your onion is going to be. If you want it really fine, you can then do some cuts across, but it is a little bit dangerous, and due to the layering of the onion, it will just naturally finely chop itself almost as you cut it. It won't be quite as fine, but for home cooking, it's absolutely perfect. And all you want to leave is this tiny bit of the root. Personally, when I'm cooking, I like to use these little mise en place bowls, and it just keeps everything nice and organized and clean. Speed will come with time, but at first just master the technique. And when you're slicing through the onion, you either want to gently push forward or you want to pull back. Personally, I tend to push forward, it just feels more natural. And this is going to ensure you're actually slicing through the onion rather than just pushing straight down, which isn't the most efficient way of cutting. And then add in your red onion. Also going in with 1 bay leaf, fresh or dry, it's absolutely fine. Heating up the pan before adding the oil ensures that it doesn't just sort of soak into your pan's material. Plus it prevents the oil from degrading, which could happen if you were to heat up the pan with the oil already in it. This is the first stage of building flavor in this dish, getting some nice color onto these onions. You can really taste when someone's rushed cooking something like this and it doesn't have the sort of body of flavor that you really want. And I will just add a nice pinch of salt to help draw out the moisture from these onions and season them. Seasoning the dish throughout the process of cooking gives you a much better result. It can end up really salty if you just sort of dump in the salt right at the end. And also tasting as you go along is so important, so you can adjust the seasoning as you cook it. The onions have a little color on them and I can smell the lovely floral and woody notes coming from the bay leaf. Poppy, you can't go up the stairs backwards. That's not how it works. I guess that's one way of doing it. The easiest way to remove the peel from the garlic is to place your knife on top with the blade pointing away, and then put the palm of your hand on top and then just push down. That will crush the clove and then the peel will come straight off. And if you don't want to use the knife, you can simply put the palm of your hand on top and push down as well. The nice thing about crushing the garlic like this is that now when you go to slice it, it's going to start to break up straight away, making it really easy to finely chop it. I've just gone through that once and it's already nearly finely chopped enough for this dish. And I'm just using the rocking method here. The tip of the knife always stays on the chopping board and then you just gently rock the back of the knife up and down through the garlic. And to get the garlic a little finer, we're going to use the cross chop method. Just put your fingers over your knife to keep it steady, and we're just going to chop through the garlic using the same sort of rocking motion that we were using before. And once again, you can do it really slowly, it's absolutely fine. And then once you get a little bit more confident, you can do it a bit quicker. And you don't need to get this super fine or else it'll cook too quickly and burn in the frying pan. I'm now going to add in the garlic. For the red chili, I'm just going to remove the end and cut it in half. I'm going to remove the seeds, but you're welcome to leave them in if you'd like to. You can either finely chop or slice the chili. It won't make too much difference as most of the heat will just come out into the dish. As always when prepping, I always keep the food bin nearby so I'm not making multiple trips back and forward from the bin. Saves so much time. And the chili, and just cook that down for a few minutes. Now for the spices, I'm going to start with some ground coriander. Cumin for that really sort of nutty, almost sweet flavor, really lovely. Smoked paprika will add a really lovely depth of flavor to these beans. And a smoky flavor, of course. And then we'll go in with a couple tablespoons of tomato puree. I'm not using any fancy paste like harissa or chipotle in this dish. I wanted to keep it fairly simple for you guys. Also going to add some dried oregano, or oregano, depending on where you're from. And we'll let the spices toast and release their aromas, and we'll also get the tomato puree nice and caramelized. Take it from sort of a bright red and slightly fresh flavor to a more dark red and like nice sort of caramelized rich flavor. Then just add in your vegetable stock, or you could just add some water. You can already see this is just going to be super flavorsome. It's got a lovely deep sort of chocolatey red color. Now we can go in with our beans. The great thing about plant proteins, such as these black beans, is that they contain fiber and protein, whereas meat proteins, they pretty much just contain protein and fats. They're also high in antioxidants, folate, and resistant starch, so by just adding some black beans to a dish, you're getting so much for your money, and they are really affordable. I'm using some jarred red peppers just because I had them left over. These have been nice and roasted and charred, but you could definitely use some frozen ones for a slightly cheaper alternative. If you can get the sort of fire roasted ones, that just adds another layer of flavor to this dish. And then the final ingredient before we let this bubble and simmer away is some tahini. I love adding nut butters to these sort of bean stews, just adds a really nice sort of comforting slight creaminess and nuttiness, of course. You could also use almond butter, that's really nice. Even peanut butter can work quite well. And it's of course going to add some really nice healthy fats to your diet, which is very important on a plant-based diet. So we'll let this simmer for around 15 minutes and we'll get on with the roast cauliflower. Bath time for Poppy. What you digging for? Let's get the shampoo on. Oh yeah, is that nice? Lavender and bergamot. Oh. So I've got a fairly chunky cauliflower here. It wasn't organic, so I've given it a good wash to hopefully get rid of at least some of those pesticides or whatever else they spray on these things. So we're going to go straight down the middle and then down the middle of the core again. And we're cutting this into wedges essentially, so I think I'm going to cut this into 3 nice wedges of cauliflower. Whenever I'm using my knife, instead of just holding it by the handle, which doesn't give you much control, I've got my thumb on one side, my index finger on the other side, and that just gives you a really nice grip on the knife and more control. So get your cauliflower into a bowl. We're going to add a good tablespoon of olive oil, or any oil of your choice. I like to cut the cauliflower into quite large pieces so that you get really nice caramelization on the outside, and then inside it stays really nice and fresh and creamy. And then using your hands, you're just going to gently get the oil spreaded around the cauliflower. I'm not going to toss these as they will just sort of break apart, and I want to keep them in these nice sort of wedges. And then some of this roasted cauliflower will make into a really nice creamy drizzle using some smoked tofu as well, which is going to be so delicious. You can use any seasonings that you like. I'm actually going to use this smoked chipotle rub from my parents that I got for Christmas. It's got a few other spices and flavorings in it, like mustard. I believe it's got some garlic, some paprika, a little bit of pepper, that sort of thing. So I'll just add a few teaspoons onto this cauliflower. And then once again, using my hands, I'll just gently sort of rub it into the cauliflower. You could also do this on a sheet pan. It might be a little bit easier to sort of just sprinkle it on. And then just roast either in your air fryer or in the oven. It's up to you. For the quick pickled red onions, I simply add some sliced red onions to a pan with red wine vinegar, water, sugar, and a little salt. Bring it to a boil and then just switch it off. And by heating up the onions, they break down quicker, they pickle quicker, and you get that really nice flavor quicker than you would with just cold pickling. Okay, so the cauliflower now has some amazing caramelization on it, lots of lovely golden color, which is of course going to equal lots of flavor. That looks absolutely incredible, slightly charred in some places, which is absolutely fine with me. And I'm going to steal some of this cauliflower to go into our creamy drizzle. Just a few florets is absolutely fine. Then I'm going to add in some smoked tofu. If you can't get smoked tofu, you could use some regular tofu and add some smoked paprika. It won't be quite the same, but it'll still be delicious. And then of course, we're going to add in some nutritional yeast. And if your container of nutritional yeast isn't the size of a house, then you really need to change that. I'm going to add a couple of tablespoons for that lovely cheesy and nutty flavor. And that's it really, just add some water now to loosen it up so that it actually blends. That's going to make a really nice creamy drizzle. Also adds a little extra protein as well, which is always a good thing. And we'll just blend that until smooth. Protein, although in a lot of plant-based sauces, you do just need to make sure you're getting enough of it in your meals. Now you could go the extra mile and add like miso, lemon juice, and that sort of thing to this drizzle, but today I just wanted to keep it nice and simple. Still delicious, but simpler. And this has actually given me the idea for a recipe. I'm thinking a sort of Mexican style lasagna and use this smoky sauce as the bechamel. Once your beans have bubbled away and the sauce is lovely and thick, we can finish off the dish. I'm going to add some lemon juice to help bring out the other flavors and add a nice freshness. I would add lime juice, but I didn't have any limes, so lemon will do perfectly fine. Then you can drizzle on that lovely smoky cashew cream, being very generous with it because it is so delicious. Next, that beautiful roasted cauliflower. Pickled red onions for that lovely fresh, tangy and sweet flavor. Really tasty. And then if you're a fan, some fresh coriander. And there you have it, that is your creamy black beans and cauliflower. So, so delicious. I love to serve this really simply just with some baked sweet potato or some brown rice. Oh, that's so good. The cauliflower is lovely and charred on the outside, but juicy in the middle. And then you've got those hearty beans, the creamy smoked tofu drizzle, and then the red onions and the coriander just bring a really nice bit of freshness and life to this dish. Thank you so much for watching. I've got a whole video where I make delicious recipes using canned beans. You can check it out here.